Thank you for joining us on 2018 March primary election focus. And today I have a very special guest, I have with me Commissioner, Water Reclamation District Commissioner, Kari K. Steele. How are you, ma'am?
I'm great. Eugene Matthews, thank you for having me this afternoon. I'm awesome.
We want to thank you for coming on our show. The water you drink is vitally important. We decided to sit down and have a relaxed, laid-back conversation with a commissioner that's committed to informing you to what she's doing, what she wants to do, what are her goals, her ambitions for the Water Reclamation District. But first, we're going to ask you a couple of tough questions. And the first one, we want the audience to know a little bit about you. Can you tell us a little bit about your education, where you came from, that kind of thing?
Sure. So my education, before I decided to run for office, I worked as a chemist. So my education...
Hold it. A lady chemist?
Yes, we have female chemists.
Holy cow! What is this world coming to? It's going to be a better world all of a sudden.
So yeah, I see where this is going to go, this interview. But yes, so I always loved science as a child. I always loved chemistry.
Now, what schools did you go to?
So I went to Xavier University in New Orleans, where I majored in chemistry. And
New Orleans! Yes. Oh my goodness, Treme, don't get us started. We love New Orleans.
I love Treme.
Ain't nothing bad from New Orleans. Go right ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Nothing bad about New Orleans. No problem. So major in chemistry, minor in biology. While I was in college, that's kind of how I got introduced to water reclamation, because I used to work there over the summer while I was obtaining my chemistry degree. But I really didn't have a plan at that point to run for office or to even go back to working at water reclamation. But I knew I wanted to do something in chemistry. Okay.
Now, how many years were you, I guess, what were your intern, or what do you call it?
So I interned. It took me 4 years to graduate with my chemistry degree at Xavier. So I interned at water reclamation every summer while I was getting my degree. After that, I worked actually for the water department for a little while.
Now, when you say the water department, for the water reclamation or the city of Chicago?
So I worked for both. So I interned at water reclamation.
Very good.
But then when I graduated, I worked at the water department, which is the city of Chicago. Two separate entities and agencies that people usually don't even know until I come out and talk to them and explain it.
Now, not to get sidetracked, but explain that. Why are there two separate entities? I mean, what's the need? Explain that to us, please.
So, you know, every city, or most cities, are different. I've visited cities where the agencies are combined, and then some cities where the agencies are separate. But in Cook County, Chicago, ours happen to be separate. So water reclamation, where I'm a commissioner at now, we treat wastewater and manage flood control. So we strictly deal with only the water that leaves your house. Everything that leaves, whether you're washing clothes, flush the toilet, running the dishwasher, whatever.
Yes, ma'am.
City of Chicago Department of Water Management is the water coming into your house. So when you turn on the faucet, your drinking water, your water bill, if you want to purchase, or not purchase, if you want to have a water meter for, you know, your water bill, that's City of Chicago Department of Water Management.
Now that is a great way to explain it. So when the water comes into your house,
City of Chicago.
The City of Chicago. When it leaves your house,
water reclamation.
We
reclaim your wastewater.
Very, very good. Now, okay. Now, what drove you to be a commissioner in the first place? What drove you there, ma'am?
You know, well, I knew about both agencies just because I had experience working there.
Yes, ma'am.
I worked as a formulating chemist for L'Oreal USA for a little while.
What's a formulating chemist?
I formulated hair care products.
Woo-wee.
For L'Oreal USA, African American hair care products. So for them, it's minority products. So anything that's not basically used for Caucasians on their hair, I formulated hair care products for them. But while I was working at L'Oreal, got my first home, living, I was always involved in my community, so that's just a part of life, being involved in your community, working and having your first home, and then what happens?
Yes.
Water in the basement.
Water in the basement, oh my goodness. We all know that story. That's a bad story. But we all know that story.
So, you know, it's different from when you're a child and you're living at home and you get water.
Because it's somebody else's problem then.
Because when you grow up, and then so I'm like, wait a minute. So we go to the community meetings. At that point, I was chairman of the Cook County Young Democrats.
Very good.
So traveling to different community meetings because that's just what I do.
Yes,
and everyone's talking about the water in the basement, but they need someone to explain what happened. And I'm there, and a lot of the aldermen or committeemen at that time knew my background. So then I kind of started talking about it and explaining. Next thing you know.
What is there to explain when you say water? What does the water reclamation have to do with the water in your basement?
So now I'll explain it for real this time, more so than I did when I was younger.
Very good.
But so water reclamation, when I say treating the wastewater and managing flood control,
yes, ma'am.
Basically when the water leaves your house, it has to get to us. So it goes to one of our 7 treatment plants, and we treat it before it's released into the waterways. So when it leaves your house, it goes through a portion of local sewer lines and then goes through our tunnel system to water reclamation. So that's where the flood control part comes in. So if it's raining really hard or you're using a lot of water, and it's a lot of water, like when we have water in the basement or when we get water in the basement, usually it's when we're having a heavy downpour.
Yes, ma'am.
So at that point, usually the water leaving your house and the heavy downpour is just too much water trying to get to us at one time.
I see.
And that's when you can possibly have that basement backup.
Okay.
So we could talk about this later, but to push that, I usually talk about water conservation tips and things like that, because a lot of times people just don't think about it until someone really talks to them about it. So talked about that at the meetings.
Okay.
Then ended up, I'm trying to bring it back.
Very good. Bring it back. Bring it back.
So
You're doing great. Keep it up.
Then basically they decided that they wanted to try to push someone on the south side to run for commissioner at water reclamation, because it's a 9-member board.
It's a 9-member board.
Uh-huh.
So this is the makeup of the water reclamation district.
Board, yes.
Board. Okay, go right ahead, ma'am.
9-member board, all the commissioners represent all of Cook County, so we're elected at large. So basically at that point when I first ran, the South Side committeemen and aldermen decided they wanted to support someone to run for the position from the South Side. At that point, no one on the board lived south of Roosevelt Road. And when we
surprise,
right, and when we dug a little deeper, we realized no one had a background like mine. That was like such a unique qualification to be a water chemist.
Hold it, that you actually knew about studying liquids.
Yes. So we took it all the way, and as you see, I'm running for re-election, but I say my name, it's like chemist and environmentalist are my second last name.
Yeah, because I have your card here for our viewers out there that don't recognize. It's Kari K. Steele, re-elect Kari K. Steele. She's currently in there, so that's an important distinction. We want our viewers to turn out and re-elect Kari K. Steele, chemist, environmentalist, right underneath, vote Democratic. Yes. So that's excellent. It's a very nice picture. It says work to protect our clean drinking water and environment. We're going to get into that. Mm-hmm. Promoted STEM careers and protected workers. Fought for transparency in government. Very, very good. The election is coming up Tuesday, March the 20th. Now, do you have it's a primary?
Yes.
So you are definitely qualified.
Yes.
Which makes you kind of unique.
Yes, but I still need those votes.
That's important. That's important. We want to make sure people don't forget that. So what, as a water reclamation commissioner, what do you actually do? What are some of the things you actually do?
So what we actually do, we act as a legislative branch over the district. So we meet twice a month, and we basically vote on everything that makes the district run. So we vote on treatment processes, we vote on ordinances, we vote on employee raises, promotions, we vote on leases. A lot of people don't know we're like the 2nd largest property owner in Illinois.
Hold on. You're the 2nd largest property owner.
Don't ask me how that happened. I just got that.
What you own is under the ground. It's a tube in the ground. So far under, we can't own it anyway.
Those are our construction projects. So that's another thing we vote on. But in addition to the construction projects and great infrastructure, we own a lot of land throughout Illinois. We
very
have
good.
7 treatment plants and 23 pumping stations, and we own a lot of land.
Unbelievable. So we're going to get to the tough questions because I know the viewers have the tough questions. And guess who got them? I got them right here. For instance, what are overflow action days? Do you know what that is? Woo, woo, woo.
So overflow action days,
Now explain that to us.
I love talking about that. I promote it on Facebook all the time under Commissioner Kari.
See,
Steele.
I didn't see that. So explain it for those of us who are not Facebookers. I tried to get on Facebook. They rejected me. That's a long story.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
So
Go right
overflow action days. Remember earlier I described to you how when it rains really hard and you're using a lot of water in your home or just using your normal average amount of water, sometimes it's a lot of water going through your local pipes trying to get to us so we can treat it and keep that water flowing at a steady pace. So when it's raining really hard, we promote with Friends of the Chicago River overflow action days. Basically, we want you to take action to eliminate the overflow and what could possibly be a basement backup. How do you take action? You conserve water at home. It's very easy. It's simple things you can do. Hold off on running the dishwasher. Hold off on washing clothes, or if you have to wash clothes while it's raining really hard, at least make sure it's a full load. Take shorter showers. Maybe that's not the time for the long bath. Just because you never know, that could make the difference. If everyone's at home and it's raining really hard, and half the time when it rains really hard, you don't know how long it's going to rain that hard.
True.
And then everyone's using a lot of water at home. That's just you not using that water at home could be the difference between you having a possible basement backup or not, because all that water needs to basically get through the local sewer lines to get to us.
So in that case, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm using the shower, whatever, and water's going in and raining outside, and it's putting water in the system.
In the sewers also. I have a visual board that I take out when I talk to community meetings sometimes of a sink that already has water in it. So think if you're washing dishes and your sink is full and you let up the stopper and so the water's kind of flowing through the drain at a steady pace, but then you take a big pot of water and dump it in there. It's going to overflow.
Correct. And that's what you're talking about. That's a good example. Now, here's another tough question. I only got the tough questions today. We have people, there are people out there who, like yourself, didn't know anything about this agency and the things you guys do. What about the opportunity for our viewers out there to maybe demonstrate their credentials and apply for jobs and opportunities? Are there jobs and opportunities in your organization?
Yes, we always have jobs and opportunities. It's a huge agency, and it's not strictly just technical jobs and opportunities. So don't look at it as it's just science and engineering. We have an HR department, we have a finance department, we have IT, we have, labor department. So we have a lot of different areas. You can go to our website, MWRD.org, or you can always visit my website, CommissionerKariSteele.com, or my Facebook page, the same thing, Commissioner Kari Steele. And I also send out weekly newsletter updates. But all of that is to basically tell you what's out there and what's available. So once you go to the website, however you get there, you can create a profile, basically listing your your information like you're applying for a job, what you're interested in. What happens then is either you can see something at that point you might want to apply for, or Water Reclamation we will contact you when something becomes available in your area. But I still tell people, check in like every 2 weeks if you're seriously looking. Don't wait for them to, for us to contact you. Just keep looking.
Sometimes you have to you have to be persistent.
Yes.
And the people that are persistent seem to be a little bit more successful than those that just sit at home and wait for the phone to ring. I don't understand why, but that happens. And go ahead, ma'am.
No, I was going to say we do have internships too over the summer.
Very, very good. Now, what is your vision? What made you decide to take this opportunity, and what is your vision for your involvement in the organization?
Well, what made me decide to take the opportunity was to bring water reclamation to everybody in Cook County, basically to spread awareness to all citizens in Cook County. So I wanted to make sure my area knew about green infrastructure. We knew about different STEM careers. It was really eye-opening.
Now, when you say a STEM career, explain that to our audience, because our audience might not know what that means.
So STEM careers, science, technology, engineering, and math. I feel me being a chemist and growing up in that environment, I know before I got to water reclamation, the jobs I had, how I looked around, and it was a little rare to see someone who looked like me, even more rare to see a female. So I want to make sure our babies, our kids, our community knows about career opportunities in science, technology, engineering, and math. So I go out and I talk to children about it all the time. I invite them to the plant to go on tours of the facility. When we tour the facility, we literally stop employees in the hall. What do you do? Well, what did you do to get here? Did you have training? Did you go straight to college? Did you work right out of high school? That's important for them to know because they need to know what opportunities are available to them.
What kinds of things do the people that work there actually do?
It's a variety of things because we have so many different jobs. So you might meet an engineer who, of course, they went to college and have an engineering degree. You have chemists who went to school for chemistry, but you also have lab techs who just know about science from experience.
But hold it, don't you just, when the water comes out, you pour, like you got a gallon of dirty water, you pour a gallon of bleach on it and just send it on its way?
You need to go on a tour of the plant. Because no, we don't.
I just thought, hold it. I mean, I'm not a chemist, sorry to say, but I thought when it's flowing out, you just pour some bleach on it, hey, it's all good. It don't work that way.
It is a long treatment process.
Hold it, how hard can it be to pour a gallon of bleach on a gallon of water, and next thing you know, you can drink it? It don't work that way?
No. And we do not, and we're not toilet to tap, so we don't do anything but clean our water and make sure it's clean. It's actually cleaner than the water that's released into the Chicago River, but we send our water on its way. We clean it up, release it into the Chicago waterways. Chicago River, Des Plaines River goes down to the Gulf of Mexico. Well, Mississippi River, then the Gulf of Mexico. We never see that water again.
Okay, so what about when they say that something overflew, like when it rains a lot and the beaches overflow or something overflows? What are they talking about in maybe those examples?
Now that rarely happens, and it hasn't happened any since I've been at Water Reclamation. But in the past,
how long
that
have
would
you been
happen.
at Water Reclamation?
I've been there 5 years now.
Very good. So this is the first time it's time for re-election?
Yes, this is my first time for re-election. It's a 6-year term.
Very good. Okay, so when it overflows,
so
I'm sorry
back
I
to
interrupted you.
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
that's fine.
I don't want to hurt your flow. Go right ahead.
And that's part of the whole overflow action day too, to make sure, so not only to try to eliminate basement backups, but try to make sure that we don't have situations where we have overflow, where water is released into the waterways or into Lake Michigan to contaminate the water. But we have, since I've been there, Thornton Reservoir has gone online, which is a benefit to residents south of 87th Street. Has
woo,
the capacity.
Yeah. The people south of 87th Street. That's right.
Thornton
In the good part of town.
Thornton Reservoir has the capacity to hold, you're making me laugh, 7.9 billion gallons of water. So when we have the heavy downpours, that acts as almost like a big holding spot
but ain't that
for the water.
Way out in one of them suburbs?
South suburbs, but it goes there and we hold it until it gets to, we have a plant on 130th off of the expressway. So we can hold the water there until it gets there. That benefits everyone south of 87th. North of 87th, McCook Reservoir just went online in December, stage 1.
Now, when you say went online, that means?
That means water is able, like the pipes are open, the reservoir is open, the water is able to go through. So like online, the water can flow through the sewer lines to get there.
Yes, ma'am.
Stage 1 went online. That's just how we call it.
Okay.
And it's able to hold 3.5 billion gallons of water. So that benefits
That sounds like a lot of water. Just
a
so you
lot
know.
of water.
I
So
could be
overflow
wrong.
action.
Maybe it's a cup full, but it sounds like a lot of water. Go right ahead.
And you have to go see us. We've already set up 2 dates for tours, the plant and the reservoir. But it's amazing to see because it's actually an engineering wonder. But you have to see it to believe it. But right, it's able to hold 3.5 billion gallons of water. So when we have the heavy downpours, that basically stops that water from overflowing and contaminating our drinking water. See, I found my way back to it again.
Hey, that's a winner. Now, you bring up some good points. Do you guys actually have tours, and do schools try to inform our children? Because I could be wrong, but I would think a couple of kids might say, hey, I want to treat the water. I want to be a chemist. I want to be a biologist. I mean, you know, do you guys give that kind of thing?
We do tours. Tours for schools, you have to be 7th grade and up. But we also have days where we invite families out, and there's no age limit. So for Engineering Week, I believe it's in May. So I'll get that information back to you so we can invite everyone, or they can just visit my website, Commissioner Kari Steele.
Tell them the website. Tell them the website. Don't be shy.
Right. So CommissionerKariSteele.com and Facebook, everything. I'll be promoting our Family Day, where we have it. We call it an open house, where anyone could come out to tour the facilities, and we show you what we do.
If I was coming out to tour, where is the facility?
So there's one, we have over 7 treatment plants. The 2 I recommend is one in Stickney, and there's one on 130th Street, and we could have the exact addresses on the website.
But what I'm saying is, if you take a tour, where do you go?
Oh, so you'll just tour the plant. So we'll walk you around. It's a huge plant, so walk or drive, ride in the tour bus.
Ride in the tour bus, we ain't walking.
Right. So you can see basically just the process. It's basically going on a tour. You can see our laboratories, our engineering control room, the intake where we're treating the water and everything.
Okay, just to get off, but you can bring me back.
Okay.
Once upon a time I was in Vegas and you went down inside the Mead water treatment, whatever, and they had the big engines. So we are in ground. With your tour, you're saying like where 3 billion gallons, will you be
No, we won't be going
somewhere?
Underground. We'll just be going around the plant.
Okay, good. Because that was scary.
Yeah, no.
And we don't want to be scared.
We don't want to scare them. We don't want to hurt them.
Okay.
But when the kids come out for the tours, usually we usually get at least one in the group to want to have a career at water reclamation.
Really?
Because they do find it interesting. It's like people say, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So you got to see it to want to be it. So we bring them out.
So day to day, for instance, Monday through Friday, you guys go to the office, and what you're trying to do is make sure, what kind of things as a commissioner do you do on a daily basis to help the citizens out there?
So on a daily basis, the main thing is, of course, voting on everything that makes water reclamation run in our boardrooms.
So when you said this went online and that went online, are these the kind of things that will help people's basements not be flooded?
Yes, these are extremely important to help the basements overflow, because the 2 reservoirs that I spoke about, that when I say go online, once they're online, they're able to hold water for a period of time until we could pump it to the plant. So with Mother Nature being so unpredictable with these crazy rainfalls, we need that reserve area to hold the water. So no, that's helpful, and those are the type of things we vote on when we decide, shall we spend money on this project? Is it worth it? Who will it benefit? As far as the south side, there's so much urban flooding going on because we have so many concrete areas. Our playgrounds are, just straight concrete a lot of times. So we all have to talk about how we're going to spend this money and who it will benefit and how long the project should be. Who's the best, after our employees review who applies for the construction projects or whatever, the final word, we have to vote on it.
Very, very good. Now, so is there like a president? How's the structure? Everyone's equal, or how does that work as far as you are currently there? You've been there how many years?
5 years.
So is there like a hierarchy, or is there a fearless leader? How does that work?
Somewhat. So it's a 9-member board. Everyone has 1 vote, but we do have an executive board where we have a president, a vice president, and a director of finance. So our president, Mariana Spiropoulos, vice president, Barbara McGowan, and director of finance, Frank Avila, who is always on CAN TV.
He's a good guy. We can't say nothing but good things about him. And if you're a friend of his, you're a friend of ours.
And Frank is an engineer by trade.
No wonder. That's why you and him get along,
Yep.
because you guys are actually qualified. Whoops, did I say that? Believe this. Unbelievable. People that are actually qualified by education. As a child, were you into, water, or, what made you be interested in that?
I wasn't in the water, but I was into science. I loved science. Always asking questions, experimenting. And some people call it nosy. I call it inquisitive.
Inquisitive is the correct word.
Right. So I always liked, basically things like that. Did not think commissioner at water reclamation that I would end up as an elected official. But, that's just something that happens in life. As you grow, as you get older, you stay involved in your community. You see something wrong, you want to fix it, and if you're able to change it and fix it, you step up to the plate, right?
Right. Now, what about us that's going to say, well, water reclamation, Metropolitan Water Reclamation
District of Greater Chicago.
Now, we say, my water bill too high. Shouldn't we be blaming you for, my water bill too high? Kari Steele is making my water bill too high.
And I say we have nothing to do with your water bill.
What?
Your water
Nothing?
bill is the City of Chicago Water Department. We strictly deal with what leaves your house. So remember, we're what leaves your house. Water Department is when you turn on the faucet.
So you mean I have you here and I can't blame you for
cannot
my
blame
high
me
water
for the
bill?
water bill.
Now, I'm really taking it back now. I like you even more since you didn't raise my water bill. So
Yes, in fact, we're saving taxpayers money, or we're on the way to save taxpayers more money, because we're so our staff is just so great. We're doing a lot with resource recovery now.
what is that?
Well, we're recovering resources from our treatment process. So
When you say recovering resources, what is that, resource?
we have products that we can create from the treatment process. So we
Like?
have a Class A biosolid compost and a phosphate fertilizer. And this is where the scientist in me just loves this part of my job because there are actually products. So basically it's a soil, like a manure, like a soil. And the phosphate fertilizer is a slow releasing phosphate fertilizer, but something that is very great and essential for plants to thrive and grow bigger and stronger and brighter.
Because when you say phosphate
Fertilizer.
that's where you lose me. What is that?
It's like a fertilizer. So like you have the fertilizer for grass. Now I'm not a gardener, but the phosphate
Me neither.
fertilizer.
You're not going to confuse me with a gardener.
You can mix it with your soil, and
To
the
help things grow.
phosphate, it helps things grow, and it's slow releasing, and it's not water soluble. So it releases on an as needed basis, binds with the roots of the plants, and basically helps it grow brighter and stronger. So we have the phosphate fertilizer and the biosolid compost that we're pushing, and we just had legislation passed maybe about a year ago, so we can sell it in the home goods stores. So currently there's a product in Milwaukee that you can buy in Home Depot, but we didn't have the right to sell our own product.
Really?
Now we do, but we just have to work out how. Like how I'm explaining it to you, that's going to take a while to make to be able to explain it to our constituents or to customers. How are we going to buy this? How can we make it appealing? What can we use? But now we use like the biosoliid compost. They're using it at Maggie Daly Park right now.
Whoa!
So think of how the grass looks there. Doesn't it look great?
It looks great.
And that's,
I want my grass to look like that.
See?
Kari
So,
Steele.
hopefully
If
one
I
day.
want my grass to look like that, Kari Steele like a big dog.
So that's some of the stuff on the innovative side that we're doing.
Very
And that's
good.
one part of the job I love. It keeps me sane, the science part.
We're wrapping up. Tell our viewers, how do you get out? How do they contact you? How do you get out from time to time?
Yes, so I'm out in the community all the time. You can contact me through Facebook under Commissioner Kari Steele, or you can visit my website, CommissionerKariSteele.com. I spell my name Karisteele. I do need your support in this upcoming election. Early voting has already started, and election day is March 20th. My punch number is 63.
63!
Yes, so I need that vote. Vote for me, punch number 63.
Punch 63 first, then go to the other numbers.
Yes.
63, then go elsewhere on the ballot.
Yes, and it's for the 6-year term at Water Reclamation, the 6-year term.
Thank you, Commissioner Steele. Thank you so much for informing our viewers, and thank you so much for informing me, because some of the stuff I didn't know. I
Thank
really
you
want
for
to thank
having
you.
me. This was awesome. Thank you.
Viewers, please get out and turn out for Commissioner Steele. Punch 63. Thank you. I'll see you next time.